Hey guys, here today showing you how to replace the blend door actuator on a 2000 Mercedes ML 320. This is the W163 chassis. This was made from 1998 through 2005, and as I'm sure a lot of you know now, that these have problems with this blend door actuator. You'll probably hear a lot of clicking as you turn the temperature dial, usually towards cold. It'll start clicking because it's stuck and it won't move anymore. Now realistically, you're supposed to pull the dash out to replace this part, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to show you how to get to it without doing that. Unfortunately, the only thing you're going to have to deal with later on, this car I've already replaced this part and it failed again, so I am already doing it again. That was about 3 years ago. But as you see, the airbag cover here is not all the way down. This is one of the cons to doing it my method. As I said, you're supposed to pull the whole dash off, but I don't like doing that because it's a lot of work. And you'll probably see other YouTube videos with guys doing it the same way, like this, not pulling the dash off. Pretty much you need to remove the you need to remove the glove box, and then you'll also have to pull this here trim piece down a little bit to the side. You'll have to remove the airbag that's located underneath this here cover. That's why this flap here will need to be either glued down later, or you can use Velcro on the bottom to hold it shut. Obviously this guy doesn't care, he just leaves it like that. But just so we know exactly what we're talking about, I'm going to go ahead and start the car up so you can hear the noise that it's making, so that way you can confirm. So normally what would happen is you turn on the air, got the fan on, and then you can rotate it to the right, usually without issues. Okay, temperature's going warm. Then as soon as you start turning it to the left some, it'll start clicking. Just like that. And the clicking is actually coming from the blend door actuator, which is pretty much right here, straight down. I would show it to you, but the glove box is still in. So, but if your car is making this noise, I'm going to tell you that it's the blend door actuator 100%. Because they do go bad on these cars quite often. I'm going to shut that off now. As you see, we go back to warm, it'll quiet up. So yeah, this is very common for these cars. It happens all the time. But yeah, the motor we're talking about looks like this guy here. It rotates left and right to, operate the flap. But what you'll need for this job, right, at least right now, I may need to get other things. You'll need a flathead screwdriver for sure, and you'll need a T20 Torx, which is I got there on the ratchet or on my impact. And the first thing you'll need to do before you start anything on the inside is to disconnect the battery cables. Some people will like to tell you to disconnect only the negative, but I just like to disconnect both, just because you're working with the airbag later and you don't want any accidents to happen. They're just held on by two 10mm bolts. This one here, 10mm, just loosen that, then just lift the battery cable off. Same in the back, same type of deal. Just loosen the 10mm bolt that's right there, and then remove the cable. Remove this air box. Why do I keep calling it an air box? This glove box. So you'll open up your glove box. You'll notice there are, well, 4 screws. One right here, one that's in the middle of this here stop, and then obviously the same 2 on the other side. And then if you look right up underneath there, there are 2 plastic push pins. One right here, one right here. You actually they look flush now. Just push them up with either your finger or a small screwdriver. Push them up, and then you can stick your fingers in here or a screwdriver to help pry this down, and then that'll pop a piece of plastic out. They're just plastic push pins. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And I'm sorry, I'll try and get the best camera angles that I can, but I will definitely tell you what you need to do every time. This is just kind of a awkward spot to work in, so yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get those out. Okay, after you got that out, you can just pull the whole glove box out, close it back up, and set it in the back. Okay, so now that you got the glove box out, you can possibly see inside. If you look deep there in the corner right there, where this white lever is, there's where the actuator, it rests back there in the back. Pretty hard to see it, but all of the stuff is in the way, unfortunately, so it will have to be removed. The airbag has to come out. That's underneath this cover, and then we'll go on ahead now and loosen up the pieces that hold this here trim panel on. Okay, we'll use a flathead screwdriver to remove this here trim panel on the side. It's just held on by a few clips. Just pull it out. Underneath here, there's one screw right here on the top that is an 8mm. You need to loosen and remove that. In the middle, if you don't have an 8mm, it is a T25 Torx. So either one will take it off. It doesn't really matter. So after that is loose, directly underneath here, you'll see where the 12-volt cigarette lighter deal is. There are also two more Torx, pretty much right here located where I'm at. Yeah, there's two more screws on here. Actually, they're not Torx, it's just two Phillips screws. One right here and one right here. I'll show you a picture and circle the ones that you need to take off. So we're going to go ahead and get those off now. Okay, now this right here will be loose. You can go ahead and remove this. Just pull this here connector away. Now this right here will be free enough. I mean, you really only need to loosen this up so that you can get to the side of the airbag, which is located up in here. That's the only reason I take this off. So now we'll need to focus on getting the airbag out. You'll need a 10mm to get the bolts off. You can use a wrench, or you can use a little socket and a ratchet. It's probably what I'm going to use. You have to find out what combination, because honestly I don't know exactly because I don't remember, but you have to find out a combination of which one you need to take off. But here, I'll get you a little close-up of it so you can see what screws I'm talking about. Okay, so now as we're looking underneath into the glove box, you'll see here is the airbag, this canister. There are screws here, there's a 10, and there's another one right above that. And then same on the other side, there's a 10, and there's another one above that. We loosened up this here side so that you can pull this down some, and you can see you can pretty much get to those screws pretty easily. So we need to go on ahead and remove those so that we can try to get back there to that actuator. Now, as I said, this cover right here, as you can see, there is the airbag. It is very difficult to get to the screws that are on the back side of this cover. That's why most people just pry this thing up and then remove the airbag that way. So pretty much you need to loosen up the screws and then force this thing up enough to where you can remove the airbag or get the airbag up out of there, because it's not going to come out the bottom in this area through the glove box. It won't come out that way. So yeah, I'm going ahead and remove those 10mm screws, and then we'll go ahead and get the airbag out. Okay, now that we got the side panel loose, the next thing you want to do, I honestly would recommend it, although it may be difficult to put it back on later, just being honest. The flap that's here on top, if you lift it up, you'll notice that there are 3 nuts holding it on. They're kind of in the back, you can't see them. They're 3 10mm nuts. It would be wise to actually remove those so that you can take this cover off and just remove it. That way you have more space to work on the airbag, and you'll also have more room to get to the bolts that hold the airbag down. So I'm going to go ahead and remove them. You'll need to use a wrench more than likely, because it's kind of hard to get a socket in there. But you can see how they would be very difficult to put back on once it is time to put it back on. But I've already done this once before with some struggles, so I'm just going to do the same thing I did before and remove these 2. Now this will just lift right off like this, and you have plenty of room to get to the nuts that hold the airbag on. Okay, now with this cover off, as I was telling you, it's held on by 3 nuts that are here. It's going to be a little difficult to put that back on, but you'll be able to get it, hopefully. Now if you look down on each side of the airbag, I've already taken the nuts off, but there are 2 10mm nuts here, and here. Same on the other side, they're down in there. There's one right there and another one on top. You'll need to get an extension, 10mm, remove those. Then there will be a connector on the side of the airbag that's yellow. It will just pull straight off. But yeah, just be careful with the airbag when you are removing it, and you can just set it down to the side. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that now. Okay, now the airbag is actually completely loose. You can just lift it straight out of its hole here, and there is a connector that is on the side over here. It's yellow. Just you can't see it in the camera, but you can just pull it straight off. It might be kind of difficult to pull it off. There you go. This is the connector right here, this yellow one. It just pulls straight off, and then you can just set the airbag down to the side. Okay, now that you got the airbag out of the way, you will be able to, well, I've already disconnected the connector that's there. This connector goes to the piece. It's directly straight down there. You'll see the white top of the actuator right there. It is held on only by 2 screws that are Phillips screws. I can't get in there to show you where they are at. I can only show you on the connector, the new one that I have here. So obviously this piece is sitting in here like this, inside the dash. There is a screw right here and a screw right here on the opposite side. They're both Phillips. There's not a screw on this side, so don't worry about that side. But this one may be easy to get to. This one is a little bit more difficult because you have to do it blindly. You can't really see what you're doing. If you have a really short stubby Phillips screwdriver, that probably would work the best. However, I've learned that I had to use a combination of like a Phillips bit that you would stick in a drill, let's say, and I had to use a combination of that and like a 1/4" drive socket just to get it out. But however you can, I guess, manage to get it out, you will have to try and squeeze in there and get it out however you can. When it is loose, you just simply lift it straight up and out of its spot, and then we can go ahead and reinstall the new one. So yeah, we'll get to work on getting that out now. Just so you can know what I was talking about, stubby Phillips screwdriver like this, really short. This one I might be able to get in there as well. And if that doesn't work, then you'll need to use something like this. This is a bit, you know, really is for construction work, I suppose, but it works. It's taped in here so it doesn't fall out. This is a 1/4 inch ratchet, and I could just attach it to the ratchet and stick the ratchet in there and try and get the back one out. I do make shorter ones of these, so like I said, however you can get it out, you're going to try your best to get it out, and good luck to you. Okay, this is the piece pulled out. It will have this little plastic adapter attached to it. This you need to just simply just pull this guy out, and you'll transfer it over to the new one. Obviously it'll only go in one way because it's shaped a certain way, but this here plastic, when you go to reinstall it, this plastic piece right here will actually be sitting in the other you can't see it, but there's another white piece right there. That's where it sits into. That's what operates the door back and forth. I can't push it right now in my hand. Well, yeah, I can't get in there, but you'll see it's attached to a metal rod that operates the flap back there in the back. But when you go to reinstall it, now your new piece is already lined up. You can see the notches here and the alignment marks. The very last thing you want to do is to plug this connector in. Now it won't have any power because we disconnected the battery, but if for some reason you plug this in and your battery is connected and you turn it on, it's going to mess up the alignment. So please connect the connector at the very last thing you do. Bolt it in there, get it all screwed in, and then do the connector, so that way everything is aligned correctly. Now when I say that, that means when you stick this adapter piece into your new piece here, because like I said, it's only going to go on one way, just like that, it'll be facing straight. That means the piece that's in here, I'm going to guarantee that it's not going to align with this notch that's here. So don't twist this thing around, because you'll mess this up. Instead, move the rod and the metal rod in there enough to where you can get this notch that's on this guy to line up to the flap that's inside. So basically move this thing, don't move this, because it'll mess it up. So I'm going to go ahead and reinstall that back into place now and tighten down the screws and reconnect the connector. Okay, I got the new actuator installed, bolted down, aligned, and I connected the connector at the very end, so everything there is ready. So now you can take and put your airbag back into place. Don't forget to connect the yellow connector onto the side. This is another thing where you don't, I mean, I know you're tempted to put that in there and probably turn the car on and try it to make sure it works, but there's no problem with that. However, make sure you connect the airbag back into the connect this connector first into the airbag before reconnecting the battery and testing that to make sure it works. Otherwise you'll get an ABS code, or I'm sorry, not an ABS code, you get the airbag light on, and then you'll have to have a special tool to delete that code, because it will recognize that this passenger airbag has a fault. So there's no problem with testing it, but make sure you connect the airbag connector first, and then you can test it if you would like. So I'm going to go ahead and get the airbag back installed into place. Obviously it's held on by the 4 10mm screws that you see. You can use obviously a ratchet or whatever you use to take them off. So I'm going to put that back in now. Okay, we got the airbag back installed. The connector is in. Now you will need to focus on getting getting the cover back into place. Remember, it just sits on top, and the 2 studs or the 3 studs go into the metal bracket that's there, and it's going to be pretty hard to get the nuts started You'll just have to try your best to get them started, and then you go ahead and tighten them up. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, after you got the cover back installed, as you can see, it's going to stick up like that. You'll probably need to use some Velcro strip down here so you can just hold it down. Or if you don't care, you can just leave it like that. Now what we need to do is just pop this here trim piece back into place like so. Then you'll go on ahead and reconnect the two Phillips screws on the bottom with that trim panel piece. Let me grab it. This piece here you'll need to reinstall. Don't forget to reconnect the connector. This just slides back into place up under the dash, and also the 8mm screw that goes right here on the side. So I'll go ahead and do that. You can go on ahead and reinstall the cover. It just slides back to the front of the car and clip these into place. Just like so. Now we can go on ahead and reinstall the airbox. Or why do I keep calling this thing the airbox? Reinstall the glove box, and then just use the torque screws that you used to pull it out. They were T20s. Slide it back into place, just like so. Okay, we got the glove box back installed, and that's pretty much it. You can go ahead and reconnect the battery as you took it off before. Tighten up the two 10mm nuts that are on there and tighten that up. And then you can come back inside the car and turn the key on and go on ahead and cycle the, or actually just turn the key on and give it about a few minutes. Well, not a few minutes, give it about 30 seconds or so, and it should cycle where it needs to. It'll cycle the motor on its own, the actuator, and then after that you should be able to adjust the temperature knob, and you should have no more clicking, and also you should have cold air, because that's probably why you didn't have cold air to begin with, even with the air conditioner on. So yeah, I hope this video was helpful for you guys. Again, just a quick it's a quicker way to do it without having to take the dash off, and you can easily get some Velcro straps to just, or little strips to hold that airbag cover down without a problem. So yeah, if you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section below. If this is your first time to the channel, thanks for stopping by, and I hope that you would hit the subscribe button so that you can see videos that I have. I try to upload a video every week. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. I will see you next time.